Hello my dear friends, and welcome back to another video. So today we've got some Star Wars news, but I want to kick things off with a theory that is really wild, really out there, but it gets our creative theorizing fan brains going. I'm not saying this is going to happen, but it's Dave Filoni Star Wars and anything is possible. He knows how to wow fans and give us some huge surprises. So with that being said, with all of the talk and speculation surrounding Thrawn's use of the mysterious Nightmothers, is it possible that he's going to bring back in some fashion a familiar character that the fandom knows, even if it's just a mirage created by magic, a manifestation and not the real person, maybe a zombie? Are they going to come back? So who do we have in mind? Well, perhaps a more obvious choice is that Thrawn is going to ask the Nightmothers to create a fake zombified Vader for when Ahsoka arrives, just to mess with her emotions and throw her off. Remember, he wanted to know who her master was, and while Thrawn knew Anakin back in the day, he wants to accomplish his goals. He may have had respect for Vader once upon a time, but now is different. Ahsoka's in his way. And also keep in mind the Vader team on Kenobi reassembled and did quite a lot of work for Ahsoka too. We have seen some Vader in Ahsoka episode 5, but we could see a version created by Nightsister magic. Other theories suggest a revived Maul, in spite of the fact Filoni gave him one final send-off in Star Wars Rebels in the amazing episode Twin Suns. We could see a zombified Darth Maul. Given allusions to the Phantom Menace, the temptation would certainly be there. Realistically, Filoni's not going to touch this. But what about an idea he's had for years, but was never able to implement in the right way? Bringing Asajj Ventress back from the dead. That's right, he was going to do this originally in Star Wars Resistance, much later in the timeline compared to the Ahsoka show, and way after she canonically died. According to Star Wars Resistance head writer and executive producer Brandon Arman, the female archaeologist Mika Gray was actually going to be Asajj Ventress. He said, quote, "There was going to be an older version of Ventress, and that was Dave's idea all along, and we were even going to have a scene where Asajj Ventress takes on Kylo Ren." I mean, could you imagine, Ahsoka aside, if in Star Wars Resistance we got a lightsaber duel between Kylo Ren and Asajj Ventress? That is a lightsaber duel no fan would want to miss. This is something of a what-if dream, and Dave Filoni on multiple occasions has talked about bringing Asajj into the story later in the timeline. He never mentioned Asajj specifically in the New Republic era, or refacing Ahsoka after all these years. Even Rosario Dawson herself has said she wants to see this. But imagine if that is what Thrawn does. As I say, very unlikely, and once the next episode drops I'm sure this is going to be debunked, but if they're going to do something with familiar Dathomirian lore, tie-ins to the Clone Wars series, then I would say Maul or Asajj Ventress are likely candidates. And you also get a sense that even if it's just in a reference, they should bring up Grievous's massacre of the Nightsisters during the Clone Wars. That is a very significant moment in their history. Even Nightsister Merrin brings it up in Jedi Fallen Order. While Asajj Ventress now has a canon death in Dark Disciple. Star Wars has been very liberal in the way it interprets books. Sometimes the canonicity takes priority on screen, so I wouldn't take this to heart. Even if she did die in Dark Disciple, they could always bring her back if need be. In an unproduced 8-episode arc of Star Wars The Clone Wars that was meant for the 7th season, Ventress was killed while protecting Jedi Master Quinlan Vos from Count Dooku, and her body was laid to rest on Dathomir. This story was adapted for Dark Disciple, which released 3 years before Star Wars Resistance premiered, so Dave Filoni had every intention of retconning that death. Given what Thrawn said about the deception of death among Jedi and Nightsisters, and provided we know Nightsisters practice magic and were known to reanimate dead bodies, it's possible this would have been used to explain how she survived. And they could still do it, even if, as I suspect Ahsoka avoids this, we could see it in the Rey film. Star Wars Resistance takes place during the time period of the sequel trilogy, so why not? Why not have her come back? I for one have been loving the Nightsister lore. I'm so curious to see what Thrawn is going to do next. Those are just some fun ideas and fun speculation, because I'm just so excited about this series. We're getting peak Star Wars. And I'm telling you, when we come to Rick's episode, Rick Famuyiwa's episode next week, from what I've heard, that is going to have fans talking for a very long time. Going into the winter, even if they push back Skeleton Crew as is rumoured, we have a lot to discuss. There is no way they're going to conclude anything, they're going to leave this open-ended, and again, just like after Mando Season 2, we're going to have to wait a while for answers. But that's great, fan discussion and dialogue, and we can unite and come together as a fandom, and talk about those things we love, in Star Wars that we love. And speaking of the future of Star Wars, there has been a huge update, it's been making the rounds, regarding the strikes. After nearly 5 months, 146 days to be exact, the Hollywood writers' strike appears to be nearing its end, as the Writers Guild of America, the WGA, reached a provisional deal with the group representing the studios and streamers. If ratified by union membership, the deal would conclude one of the longest strikes in history. And the screenwriters of the guild say it was, quote, exceptional with meaningful gains and protections for writers. But the actors' strike is still ongoing. In the last few days, the bosses of Netflix, Disney, Universal and Warner Brothers personally attended the negotiations, which provided new impetus. The actors, on the other hand, have been on strike since mid-July. They are represented by the 160,000-strong SAG-AFTRA Performers Union, and they congratulated the striking writers on their outcome. So what does this mean? Well, we really don't know the full extent just yet, but it is believed things are going to go back to normal. In terms of Star Wars, Skeleton Crew, which is finished, may be reconsidered for a 2023 late release, which was the original plan, although I do suspect that's going to stay in the cards for 2024, along with The Acolyte. The show's been written, it's been filmed, it's been produced, it's all done and ready to go, but they were pushing it off because of these strikes. The future of releases was uncertain, so they were holding off. As for Andor Season 2, it appears as though production, which did halt very near the end of it, is going to resume. There could be a bit of evidence to support this, although it might be anecdotal, but Des Willey, who is the photographer on Andor Season 1 and 2, on the day the deal was made, posted a Stormtrooper crew shirt from Andor Season 2 set. But they're gonna have to wait for the actors' strike to end first. Reaching a deal came sooner than expected, but now all eyes are on SAG-AFTRA, the actors, who are hoping for a similar deal and higher pay. Of course, a huge issue facing them is artificial intelligence, the use of AI in the film industry, and how this could affect actors in the future. So with the writers on the writing front, things might be sorted, might being the key word, but not for the actors. We're going to have to wait and see over the next few days and weeks how this plays out. We don't have anything conclusive as to what this means for certain franchises at the time of making this video. In other Star Wars news, Cameron Monaghan has revealed that Star Wars is getting a third Jedi game. We always knew it was going to be a trilogy: Jedi Fallen Order, Jedi Survivor, and Jedi, well, blank. We don't know yet. But confirmation from the main actor, Cal Kestis himself, is fantastic. The very successful Jedi series of games have been insanely popular, to the point where fans suggesting Cal Kestis should come into live action could be seen from a certain point of view as a downgrade. At Ocala Comic-Con in Florida, Cameron Monaghan said this: "We're working on the third game, and we're in the process of doing it right now, so that's a big undertaking and there's been some conversations so far, but hopefully when all things are said and done, we'll be able to go in and make something really cool for you guys again." It's very likely the release date is not going to be for a long time though, possibly similar to but could be longer than the gap between the first two games. But with that said guys, look out for my full episode breakdown of Ahsoka Part 7 tomorrow. I hope you enjoyed this one. If you did, please be sure to give me a big fat thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next video. May the Force be with you, always.